But when Black women really love one another and there's that support system, I have, non-Black friends that I love and they have been there for me and I've hoped that I've been there for them. But there's something very different about the sister friendship. Hi, I'm Tamar. You're tuned in to Soul Therapy Podcast, where we will explore and talk about what it's like being a business owner as a woman, fashion, art, what it's like being an immigrant, travel, and so much more. I invite you to join me in my journey.
So, Tamar, you are my friend of how many years?
11. Going on 11, right?
11 of the best years of your life, I know.
Oh, Lord. Is this what it's going to be?
But no, so we really became friends like later in life, right?
Yeah.
You were established in your career. I was, I don't know if I'll ever say I'm established in my career, but later in life, we didn't like meet in the sandbox or something. So talk to me about that and the fact that you have this whole new chapter of your life and you have truly blossomed as not only a businesswoman, but a true dear friend to people like myself and so many others.
Awesome. That's interesting. I don't know. I think, the older you get, your network gets smaller. And so you don't really have this, like, a huge amount of people that come into your life where you get to pick and choose, right? And to a certain extent, it's good because as you get older, you realize not all friends are real friends, right? So I think when you're older, it limits you from opening up to a lot of people. But my business doesn't allow me to shut everybody off all the time. So what I have been able to do is open up the road to meeting new people. But what most people don't know is that I'm not as open in friendship as everybody thinks I am. And when I'm a friend until, like, to my detriment. But I'm also I cannot easily be friends with someone. So it has to be something organic and something just really very, very special for me to react a certain way. People that leech on scare me very fast. So with you, it was very organic and it was easy, and I didn't really pay attention to it until I kept seeing you, and it was always a pleasant exchange. But you were always focused, and I'm always like, what does she do? Because she lives in her computer and she's so focused. Headphones, 9,000 phones and a computer. But you made it very easy to get to know you. And I think the one thing that we have in common, that a lot of people could say they're close to their families, but you and I have crazy bond with our families, especially the parents. And so it was so easy to relate to you, and it was so easy to go, that's crazy. I've been seeing her around for a while now, and we're actually taking our time to get to know each other, and it was never planned. So it felt like God had done the background check and just placed you there. You became my confidant, you became my go-to person, and I never really thought of it as, and everybody, it's weird because a lot of people will be like, is that your boyfriend? And I'm like, she gets on my nerves. Like, that's always my response to some, people say that. So it's such a natural progression.
Yeah.
But when Black women really love one another and there's that support system, I have, non-Black friends that I love and they have been there for me and I've hoped that I've been there for them. But there's something very different about the sister friendship. You know what I mean? And so, God, if those walls that can talk when you and I are alone having conversations online,
No.
So, I've been very blessed that I've had many good friends, but I think with age, you change and you're constantly evolving, hopefully, but you change in a certain age. You no longer have the space for people that load you with stuff and they don't fulfill anything for you, because that's been my struggle in my life, is that I'm such a giver. People forget Tamar doesn't need anything. She's good. But it's like there's nothing left in my well, to give anybody, including myself. So it was much easier with you, because you can look at me when you walk in the door at therapy and you'll go, what's wrong? And not that many people picked up on that, because I keep up such a good face of like, everything is okay. And when I'm sick, when I don't say anything, when you don't see me, the texts come in. So I love where we are now. And I love the journeys we've taken, the losses, the pain, the struggles, the insecurities we've talked about, and we've opened up about things that maybe we don't open up with other people as much, perhaps. I know that's true for me, at least. So yeah, I like it. I like where we are.
So it's funny, you hit on something I was gonna say. You said you're a giver. And we have a mutual friend, Zaki, who always says I'm a giver.
Yeah.
And that's what you are, but not just financially or material.
No.
You give of your spirit and your soul. When you love hard.
I do.
And it's organic. And it's something that's genuine and you can feel. And so, I mean, there are times when we have sat and cried together in a booth in therapy.
And nobody has seen us.
Right?
Nobody noticed.
And we're sniffling.
Yeah.
And so you're just such a real, organic person. There's no, are you going to cry?
No.
Okay. Because we're not going to sit here and cry today.
Okay, first of all, you outnumber the cries that I have cried about.
Maybe.
I could say 2 words for her right now and she would literally start crying.
As your friend, I cry for you and you're welcome.
Okay.
But listen, so when you're a giver like that, and you give of your whole self, certainly you have had some stumbling blocks along the way where you've given to the wrong people. So when we try to talk about the person that Tamar is today, share with us, I guess, some of the hurt and how you have recovered from maybe giving of yourself too much to someone in friendships.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
first of all, I think I've always considered myself an honest friend. And I'll give you a small version of the first lesson in friendship that I was like, okay, maybe this is not how you do it. Even though I know deep down that's how I should always do it. But the reaction and the response to what I did in friendship made me kind of go, okay, maybe this is not how people do it anymore. So I have to really think about it. I had a friend when I was in LA. I loved and adored this girl. And she was dating someone. And I went out one night and I saw him with someone else. And she was very in love. They were talking about moving on together. And I was just like, what are you doing? So I go talk to him, and I'm not the kind of person that make drama or attention. So I just kind of whispered like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing, she's my friend. And I was like, with her tongue in your mouth? Like, that's not friendship. Like, I was so confused.
I don't know that kind of friendship.
I was like, I think you're going to tell your girl I'm going to tell her, because I can't look at her tomorrow. I'm meeting her for breakfast and not say anything. And he's just like, mind your business today. Maybe because you don't have a boyfriend. And I was like, honey, like, I don't. So I go home and I really couldn't sleep. I meet her for breakfast and she's just bubbly, talking about him, yada, yada, yada. And I was just inside, I was dying. So I didn't want to ruin the breakfast. So, I was as natural as I could be. And then I said, look, this is what I saw, as we were walking to the car. And she just kind of, her face turned pink. And she was like, what do you mean? You saw him? No, you didn't see him. He said he didn't go out last night. And I was like, I saw him. And she was like, I can't believe he did this. And I said, listen, I already went and told him. Like, call her this morning before my brunch with her and tell her, because I can't fake. Like, I can't do it. And this is what he said to me. She goes home. She calls him. They get together. She believes him. And she calls me. No, she disappears on me for a couple of days. So I was like, I wonder if they broke up. And because I'm like certain.
Sure.
My plan wasn't for them to break up. My plan was for her to know the truth. And then she can make the decision. And either way, I didn't think it was going to affect our friendship. So she disappears. I keep calling, leaving messages, nothing. And then one day a friend of mine is like, yeah, I ran into your friend. You were telling me you haven't heard from her. You were worried. And she told me she didn't want to be friends with you because you were trying to break her up with her boyfriend. And I was like, what? And I was so hurt, and being so young, I just took it inward, and it was just, I took it so personal. And of course, years come and years pass, and I just kind of decided I'm gonna let it go, whatever. I am working at therapy one night, and I get an email. This is about 6-7 years ago. I get an email. No, it was a Facebook inbox, and it buzzed. This girl found me on Facebook and wrote like 10 pages long of an email. And it was so long that it kept buzzing because it was coming up in portions. And she was like, I've never had any friend like you. I regret so much, from 20 something years ago. I was like,
But she found out it was true.
of course she did. She said, I'm married to someone else. I have a great family. These are my kids. This is my husband. But I talk about you so much. My husband said, why don't you call? And I told him I didn't have your number. I didn't even know where you were. I was lucky enough to find you on Facebook, which was interesting because no one really could find me on Facebook. So, and I told her, and she's like, I would love to reconnect, continue our friendship. And I was just like, you crushed me. I was a young person. Like, you destroyed my heart and made me rethink of friendship and what that really means for people. And my mom always tells me, you cannot go into any friendship expecting they would do things or they would be something for you that you are willing to be for them. You're going to get hurt from it. But I've never learned up until maybe recently, 10 years or something. I've never really learned, and maybe even with some people, a few years, I've never learned to separate loving and giving 100% and then expecting 0. Because for me, it's a natural thing. I'm not doing it because I'm expecting something. I'm just thinking when I'm down or something is going on that you're going to be there. It's not that I'm doing it with an expectation. It's when something happens to me, I'm thinking, whether it's I'm celebrating or I'm sad, you know what I mean? So I told her, man, I forgave you a long time ago. I didn't realize you were carrying this with you for so long. Like, I forgave you from my own sanity. But I don't forget stuff. I'm not a person that forgets things. Like, I remember details. When the friend told me where we were, where I ran into him, and where I saw him, where my last brunch was. I remember all of that. But I forgave her because what was I going to do with holding on this thing? But this girl's been holding it all these years. And she was like, I am so sorry, da-da-da. And I was like, I forgave you a long time ago. You don't have to worry about it. But I can't be your friend. Like, time has passed. We're both different. Like, we're at a different point in our lives. I can't reconnect by going backwards. Like, it would have been great to have had her along this journey. But, so yeah.
But you were hurt in the process.
Oh,
because you gave of yourself. You gave your heart. So how do you move on from that? How do you make new girlfriends? Because you have to give of yourself some, right?
I didn't girlfriends right away. I think I said this one time and someone used it against me, so I hate using that word, but I'm not sure if I have a better word to express it or to describe it. I'm a great friend to women that are very independent and very focused on something. I'm not your girlfriend that would party with you on a daily basis. I had that time in my life, but I kind of moved on in progression. I feel sometimes people get stuck in spaces where they're like, well, we used to go out all the time. Oh my God, that was 15 years ago. We're 15 years older now. My bones ache.
For the record, I have that same requirement for a man, so no, we're not going there.
With man.
Fine. Okay. All right.
Man.
But you did eventually open yourself back up, and I know because I've benefited from it greatly.
As I have too, Diamond. Yeah, you have been a great friend to me. I think age changes you, and experience changes you. And the reality of it is, I've never been afraid of getting older. I've never been worried about it. It's not something that comes into my mind. Now you ask my knees and my back and my neck, completely different story. However, I am so grateful that I'm able to get older and I'm still here because I have lost friends. I never made it. I never had a chance. And I know people that are very close to some people that lost their lives. So, as much as we joke about it and all that, the health issues I have, have and exhaustion from work and being overly stretched with all the businesses we have, I take every day, even if I don't say it out loud, even if I'm saying my back hurts, my neck hurts, and you hear me when you go, how are you? And I'm like, I did. That's literally my conversation with, the people that are close to me. I'm so grateful to have another year every year, because the alternative is,
So I feel the same way at 21 years of age.
Yeah, you haven't been 21 in a while, but we'll let that go.
But you've been a hater. So, quick question. And I want to touch on something a little deep.
Oh, Lord.
I know. I can't help it. It's just a natural segue.
Is that legal?
It is. It's
Okay.
Oh, it's happening right now.
Okay.
Okay, so you and I became good friends from just the organic setting that is therapy. When I try to explain it to everyone, well, first of all, I've told many people I'm going to therapy, and they're like, oh, good. And it's like, it's not that kind of therapy. But it kind of is. It kind of is.
Yeah.
And so I say it's like my cheers.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows your name. You walk in, it's hugs all around. It's literally like a family vibe. It's like going and hanging out in your friend's bedroom or something, just chilling.
Yeah.
So you befriend and have gotten very close with people who most people would consider to be your customers.
Yeah.
But for you, they're like family, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, you've opened yourself up to so many people. And over the years, there have been a few tragedies. I know. How do you pick up and keep going after?
Oh my God, I can't stand you.
Wow. Because you give all that you are to therapy.
Oh man. Okay.
And the people there.
I was not ready for this one at all. Dang. I think therapy was created out of love and the need to start over for me. And I speak on panels, as you know, every now and then, and often I'm asked, how do you start over? Because when I say if something is not working, change it. Don't get stuck there. There's no investment that's worth losing you and losing your health and losing your peace of mind. And so change it if it's not working. And for me, the change to leave Houston and move to Atlanta, I was actually planning to move back to LA because that's where I moved from LA to Houston when I got engaged and stuff. And moving from Houston to Atlanta and starting over, I was very fortunate that my brother was here and he was kind of putting his foot down, like, you are not moving back to LA. The LA life you had is gone. You don't have that close circle of friends. Everybody's moved on because you moved away, years ago. So now going through a divorce and moving to Atlanta, after 6.5, 7 years or whatever, it was like, okay, I have to start over. I think the starting over is the scary part, but I think that's what allows you to live again, because you get to create your own path. And with that, the hugs and kisses actually came about not because I, created it, but traditionally being Eritrean, most of my Ethiopian and Eritrean friends were the customers that came the first couple of years when Therapy Lounge was opened. And it was always hugs and kisses. And so then when the crowd started, the people in Atlanta started hearing about it, different crowds from different backgrounds started coming, then they'll go, well, how come they got a hug and we didn't? And I was like, you get a hug and you get a hug and but it became a thing. Then my servers naturally got into it. And it was now, I don't know, somebody like a couple days ago was just like, yep, it's a hug fest. Like, it's just every step. Like before, sometimes I have tunnel vision because I've passed you many times.
Many times.
Literally.
I take no offense.
I have a tunnel vision because my brain is thinking about something else. I'm physically there, but my brain is somewhere else. And then once I go sit down at the bar and I turn and I start to see people and I go, oh shit. So-and-so's there. But then I gotta go backwards and start over with hugs because as soon as I see you, then there's 4 people I passed.
It takes an hour to come in therapy.
But what I do, yes, it does. It really does. But what I do know is we as humans need a connection. And the fact that I was able to create this place that saved me perhaps in starting over in life, my second act maybe in life. I think everybody needs that. Sometimes they need it daily, sometimes they just need it once a month, sometimes it's once a year, and maybe sometimes they don't need it, but it's just like a cool thing to walk and know the person that you're spending the money and patronizing. You know them and they know you and they're invested in you, because you guys essentially invested in me before I even got a chance to become friends with you guys. And so I can't just take your money and walk away, especially when there is, I mean, we've had many deep conversations based on, and I remember we called it soul therapy on Sundays. And it really was good for our souls, because I think we all were going through something.
It was good.
And it was a learning thing, and we created this powerhouse of friendship out of that. And even though some have, you know, gone separately, I think the core of the people that started it are still there, and I love that. The hard part is when you've developed friendships with people and tragic happens and they pass away. And in life, you're not ready for it, but it's thrown at you. And it's a very hard topic for me because, you know, they're not numbers for me. You guys aren't numbers. You guys are not numbers for me at work. You guys are, no. It's, you know, I read somewhere, it said it's easier to turn a client to a friend before you turn a friend into a client.
Oh, that's good.
And it spoke to me because you know, you and I've had that conversation where there were people that I really thought were just my friends that just was not as supportive to me when I went through this process. Because the first couple of years, people don't realize when you open a business, you know, I borrowed, I didn't steal.
I was saying, don't say steal.
Damn near.
Cut the camera.
Damn near. If I had it in me.
But like, you so dope. You so dope.
I would tell on myself. But you go through so much. I mean, I talked about this with a person that was interested in opening a place. And I said, they were like, oh, he said, oh, I have a lot of friends. And I said, pause. Your friends, if you have 10 good friends, probably one of them is going to be there consistently. You're not going to have the other 9, and it's going to hurt you. So I said, if you're depending on these friends that you have, oh, we went to college, honey, please. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes people are not trying to hurt you, but it is what it is. For some people, it's, they like to see you happy, but not happier than them. For some people, it's because your hustle is different. You know, you are a crazy hustler. You know, you have your professional daytime job, you have your side gigs, gigs, you're doing your PhD program, you take care of 9,000 people. And it's not because you're money hungry. And most people associate hustling with money hungry.
Absolutely.
The benefit is money, but what you get out of the journey is different. And I think we connect on that side, that we've never worked for money. But I think there's a deeper thing for us, right?
That's right.
Doing something against all odds and actually succeeding to get to that point is such a powerful thing. Again, the sad part is in that journey, you meet so many people and you become friends, and then something happens to them. I can't just shrug it off and move forward like everybody else, because these are people that I'm used to seeing every day. I've seen them for 10 years, I've seen them for 8 years or whatever. It's hard. It's a daily struggle to not think about stuff. Every now and then I think of seats, or somebody would say a drink or something, and then it will trigger me. But what can you do? Like, you can't, you have to figure out a way to move on. And I hate it. I hate it. Because I take things like that inwards, and I don't know why I'm built that way, but I take it so personal, So, yeah, but thanks for bringing up this very sensitive topic. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I mean, but it speaks to who you are. Because yes, there's Tamar the businesswoman. But then, it's going to sound crazy, but then there's Tamar the businesswoman. I swear they're two different things.
No, I get it. If anybody gets it, it's me.
Yeah.
And which is why I understand you're crazy. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I just want you to know that therapy is therapy for so many people, because sometimes after a really tough day, because you give everything that you are, and I'm gonna cry, you give everything that you are, and it's just one of those tough days where it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't win it today.
Yeah.
And it makes you question your whole process or your whole career or who you are as a, it's hard. And you come in therapy and darn it, you need those hugs.
Yeah.
And you need those smiles. And you need that music. Yes.
Yep, that's how it works out.
But honestly, it's just what you have created is not a business that was built off of the need to make money, of the desire to make money.
Oh, God knows I was so broke. I needed to make
the desire to make money. What you've created is a home away from home and an organic space where people can just be and feel accepted and feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
There's a community there that's built out of your heart.
Somebody the other day said it's a weird movement in here. And I was like, oh yeah, we're kind of a movement.
Yeah.
I didn't create it thinking that. However, when I noticed what it did for people, because every now and then, I'll give you a good story. I had, maybe this is a year and a half into since therapy was open, maybe 2 years. I had an employee that opened in the morning, and she only did morning shifts. She served a guy a latte, and then he wanted like strong drinks, and she was like, yo, it's 9:30 in the morning, like I'm not giving you a Hennessy. And he's just like talking, but she was very kind, she was very, polite and attentive to him and stuff. And even though other people were coming in picking up coffee or whatever, they were, working there, she was servicing them, but she always came back to the bar and talked to him. And before he left, he wrote her a note on a napkin that said, thank you for your kindness. I was planning to kill myself today. And I'm not going to do that. And I get to work, and she kept texting, call me. When I call her, the phone was not hung up, so she wasn't picking up. And she's always had her phone on vibrate, so she's not hearing her cell phone. I got to work, and I was like, what in the world is happening, Just had one day in the morning where I get to sleep in, and her eyes were just completely shut red. And I was like, what's wrong? She's from my country, so I'm thinking, like, bad news from back home. Immigrant stories are a little different, right? So I was like, oh my God, what call did she receive? And then she was just like, I don't know what this place is about. But she's like, every time something happens, people always tell me this. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, this guy was gonna kill himself today and he's not. I was like, huh? Because I don't know the background story. And then she told me the whole thing, and I was just like, oh my God. And I pulled him up on camera, and I was just like, oh yeah, I've seen him a couple times here before. Kindness and just being present for someone is something I needed personally. I needed people to be kind towards me because they don't know my struggles. They just assume whatever their assumption is, whether I have money or my life is good or whatever, right? People just create assumptions on you without really knowing you. And I think everything that I try to be for others is, I think, what I needed in my life. And I didn't know that until I started to get older. And then I was just like, I would say, oh, I did this for somebody. I wish someone did that for me when I was at this age, or, when I was going through this. Or I would say someone showed me kindness at a very difficult time when they didn't even realize that they were showing me kindness. So I have to figure out a way to help somebody. But if therapy gives you guys that, and in return, you guys are giving me the same therapy, but you guys don't realize you're giving me the therapy too. Like, how many times I've walked in and I've worked long hours and I'm exhausted. As soon as I see you and you just give me the smile.
Is that the smile?
Oh my God. Lord Jesus. Then I'm like, okay, I guess I can go through another 5 hours of schedule with work. You know what I mean? It's running into people that, so, I was driving by and I wasn't even planning to come out and my car just exited. And I'm just like, yes, it wasn't the money. It's not the 2 beers that they're drinking, but it's that they have created a safe place for themselves now that they know that they can go there. So I love knowing that, but it was not by design. Like I didn't plan, it wasn't planned.
So we talked about your compassion and your passion and all that you do. But there's this one saying that you and we touched on a couple times
Oh Lord, what is it? Which one?
Definitely not the one, I hate.
Oh,
Said,
God.
I hate that thing.
Okay.
But no, check on your strong friends. What does that mean for you?
Well, and I used you a couple of days ago as an example to a group of girls that were asking the questions at therapy. I think strong friends get forgotten. I think strong sisters, strong brothers, strong people get forgotten in the process because you're always showing your strength. And what you do that you taught me, and you probably didn't know you taught me this, but I think I did tell you, but your memory is iffy. If I text you saying, I need to talk to you, or if I see you and I'm just like, I'm having a rough day, you usually start with, do you need me to just listen, or do you need me to help solve the problem? And you were the first person that did that with me. And I thought, oh my God, I need to do that with my friends when they call me or text me for something, because I'm a problem solver. I'm a problem solver. So I go straight from solving problems and just take over. And every now and then I have to pace myself and go, okay, sometimes I have to look at it the same way that when I'm venting to you or my siblings or whatever, I'm not necessarily telling them to help me solve the problem. I'm just venting. Sometimes the advices come from just listening and calmly seeing where the conversation is going. And sometimes it's just not saying anything. And you made it real because you actually used your words. You said, do you need me to solve the problem, or do you need me to just listen? And I was like, I just need you to listen. And I talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And then you were like, you okay? And I was like, yeah. You're like, okay. Should we have some tea? And I was like, yeah, okay, let's have tea. It was such a refreshing thing, right? I have been forgotten in relationships. And I've been forgotten in friendships because I'm always wearing the very strong, and I'm very open. One of my sisters told me one time, you don't have to tell people certain things because not everybody's happy for you. So censor yourself and how much information you share.
It took me years to learn that.
Oh my God, I'm looking back, I'm like, you stupid little girl, because I talk about my dreams and my excitement and my drive, because I'm thinking they're gonna come because they have their dreams and we're gonna go on this road together. No.
Dream killers.
Oh God. A lot of times it's she thinks she's all that. Or, and my brain doesn't process. I don't look at myself. I mean, those that know me know how uncomfortable I am with this setting on its own. I'm so uncomfortable. Like, I love being in the background and just like solving problems versus like talking about myself or whatever. But dreams, my mom always told me dreams are free. And you can dream about anything. It's free. Now, whether you work for that dream or not is up to you. But to just think of it, it's free. There's no rent to pay there. And so when someone just takes that away from you, it's almost like they cut a piece of you. And that was a lesson for me to just kind of wake up from too. Like, okay, I know who to say what to. So I think I developed a very strong head on my shoulders and kept a lot more stuff inside. But because I'm such a bubbly person, people think I'm sharing a lot of information with them, and I really am not. But it's relative, right? Sharing information is very relative. Right? If I say, oh my God, I want to move to Bora Bora, which if you know me, that's where I'm gonna go one day and be MIA.
Just let me know when we go.
Why does it? He says the same thing. Like sometimes it's just me at Bora Bora. Like
and me.
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, moving on. I'm not moving to Bora Bora. But I could dream. And when someone jumps in and it's just like, oh my God, you're always talking about this. And it's like, damn. Like, I'm not even allowed to dream out loud. So you're taking that shit away from me,
Yeah.
So being a strong friend is a great thing. But having friends that are just as strong is better, because you become that person that's abused a lot and taken advantage of, which I have experienced tremendously in life. then you just kind of like, and the problem with me is that it takes me a long time to say I'm done. You know this. It takes me a very long time to give up on people.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody deserves a second chance, but that mentality has caused me so much heartache. Now it's just different. It's just different.
Can I tell you,
Lord.
one of the most proud moments I had from my dear friend Tamar.
I want to hear it.
I guess. So you oftentimes, you're so busy trying to make everybody else feel good and a part of things and, you know, comfort everybody, that you really kind of intentionally dim Tamar's light. You don't want the world.
I know where you're going.
I'm going with it. You don't want everybody to notice how big of a personality, how big of a beauty, how big of a person you are. You really kind of you try to make yourself small.
I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm
Exactly.
super uncomfortable right now.
But the day when you came out, pretty much kicked the door open and said, "Bam, I'm here, deal with it," I openly wept. It was your wedding.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, it was your wedding. Tamar, you came on that boardwalk, and I looked, and the sun hit you just right, and it was like, oh my God. I mean, it was like the queen had arrived. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, Lord.
I was so happy because you were just able to be in your space and who you were, and I just want that for you all the time. I don't want you to dim yourself to make everybody else feel better, because you're just so phenomenal of a person.
And I'm really honored today. Like, this was not what this plan was.
I'm going to say something nice to you. Wait. I'm honored to be your friend. And I'm so proud to share in your experiences, the cry sessions, the laugh sessions, the crazy stuff. Typically, she does all the crazy stuff, not me. The crazy stuff.
I think the audience already figured out who is the cuckoo in this friendship.
I'm trying to be nice.
Girl, I have receipts. You know I'm the bone collector. I will.
But no, you're a phenomenal person. And I'm just humbled and honored to be your friend. And so my final question for you, and then you can finally breathe.
Lord Jesus.
Is why now? Why this podcast now? Considering how uncomfortable I know this makes you.
Partly because I think as a creative person, I need a different outlet. You know, I need a different outlet. Being an entrepreneur is a wonderful thing, but it's very difficult. And I think my brother and I in this business venture make it look very easy for people where they don't realize, because they're only seeing the part where we're actually sitting with you guys and enjoying the evening. They're not seeing the 10 hours we might have put prior to that getting everything ready. And so being a business owner it's a 24-hour thing. There's no 9 to 5. There's no, there's not many breaks. You know, you don't really get a lot of days off. So I never really got a chance to really think about these things until it became overwhelming, where it's just always on the go. And someone made a comment the other day that kind of hurt me a little bit. That person didn't mean it that way, but it hurt me a little bit because
I'll get him.
No, he said, you just can't help yourself. You just need more money, don't you? And I was like, the expansion of the other side and stuff. And I was just like, oh God. I said, nobody chooses hospitality industry to be a billionaire. You clearly are mistaken. No one goes into the restaurant, bar, lounge, whatever business fully and 100% for the money, because the loss that comes from lack of that is so huge. It's such a huge investment. I was just like, oh my God. The sad reality is that some people do think, oh, we just keep doing this because we want money. Sometimes we can't undo something. That's just the situation, and after COVID, many things changed. So we have to play, and we have to be very smart, and we have to be very intentional of the changes we make. I've never felt comfortable with attention being on me. But the uncomfortable part of that is that I don't have a choice, because I'm 6 foot tall. I have this crazy afro that I refuse to change. I love my afro. I love being what this is for me,
It's
what
who
it
you
means for
are.
me. And of course I dare to wear, 3-4 inches, heels. So the attention's gonna come on me, but I don't wear that to get the attention. But I'm not gonna not wear something I like to wear because it makes someone else uncomfortable for whatever reason, right? So my wedding was different because it was a very intimate, although the whole beach at Cancun was at the wedding. It's the best thing ever. I've never seen so many bikinis surrounding the edge of the wedding in my life.
Amazing.
It was so weird. But I'll tell you this. We chose the music specifically to fit us. And I was walking to Victory Belongs to Jesus. And I kept doing this. And my brother Simon, was walking me. So he was like, can you just walk? And I was like, no, Victory belongs to Jesus. He was just like, Susie, please stop. And I was like, no. And then he poked these glasses on because I couldn't see with the light of the sun and everything. And what that moment did for me was looking, and there was only 64 people at the wedding, and all of you guys were crying. All of you were crying, and I was like, I know I'm cute right now, but why are we crying? And I looked, and he was crying, and I was like, oh, I see him like this, and he was crying, and I was
This
like,
was
oh.
this moment here.
Yeah.
Your husband. Okay, Dwayne is my friend. I like Dwayne very much. However, at that moment, your husband was out there on that altar, and we were all, anxious about you coming out.
Yeah,
and this is
yeah.
a big wedding, and this is a big
He
moment. We're
stole
all
the
so
show.
excited.
He stole the show.
And the music started, and he just dropped his head and raised his hands to God. It was the most breathtaking moment. It was like, so by the time you hit, we were like,
I was like, why is literally every row in that chair, like in the seating area, everybody was crying?
Oh,
My brother looked at me and he was just like, I don't know. I just know victory belongs to Jesus. I'm just gonna keep walking. But my favorite memory of that was more than half of the guests were there be customers. And that for me solidifies you can change from client to friends and to family very easily when people are genuine. When I saw at the reception people's shoes all over the place and everybody was everywhere, I was like, oh yes, we're having a house party. Because we didn't want it to be this. People were calling and texting us like, what do we wear? Is it formal? We were like, no, yes, it is the ballroom, but come as you are. People were in their see-through shirts and t-shirts and, I loved it. I wanted people to just feel like they were, being themselves and feeling comfortable in their skin. And one thing I would say about that moment that I think it's important to share is that we learn from one another. And sometimes good things and sometimes bad. But in this particular case, one of therapy clients that was at the wedding came up to Dwayne. And he told me, he said, what so-and-so was talking to me about? And I said, what? I saw you guys talking. He said he pulled me aside and he was very emotional. And he told me, thank you for being brave enough to praise Lord in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. And you didn't care whether you were crying. You didn't care about anybody judging you. You were comfortable in praising him. And he said, thank you for teaching me something. And I thought that was really beautiful. Like little things that you do that you don't even realize.
Well, we're wrapping up this conversation, but I will say another great episode for us to talk about the journey to get here to our husband Dwayne. We share him because I still
clearly we share
single. So our husband
suitors
Dwayne,
call me.
She's the worst. Trust me. You don't want to start with her. She's the worst. Super overprotective.
But you will be entertained in the process.
Oh, so entertaining. But I just want to say thank you for allowing me to sit here and have this conversation with you today. And I cannot wait to see how you deal with everybody else's questions that are in this hot seat.
There's a lot of people scheduled for this thing, and I haven't even shared some of the stuff with them. So it's going to be really interesting. But I think the one I'm scared of the most is my husband's. I'm terrified of his questions.
Will you in the audience for that when I want to see it?
Oh God, it's like he knows way too much. So it's like, what are you gonna ask me? So it's super uncomfortable. He's sitting over there like this.
Yeah.
I thank you for doing this with me and for me, and I hope that, and the weird part that you guys don't know is that she comes from this world. So this is super easy for her because she's a journalist. So this is completely new for me. So I'm super anxious. I'm uncomfortable.
And you never know.
No, they know. But it's okay. I'm going to take you on the journey just exactly as I am. And I am grateful to call you my sister friend.
Oh.
And your nephew upstairs told me, I was your best friend. That's what he said. But
You don't start a war, don't you?
that's what he said. I mean, I think you heard him. But it's okay. I'll take it. I'll take whatever.
She tried to have my nephews call her auntie. She knows those are fighting words.
He called me auntie. She wasn't happy with it.
He'll walk home. Go ahead.
We got a lot of cars. But thank you. Thank you for doing this.
I love you.
And I am very grateful for you being part of this crazy ride the last 10, 11 years.
It's been fun.
She's lying. Not all of it was fun, but
a lot of it. Okay. Sign out, crazy.
Oh yeah, so tune in to the next episode. I am Tamar T from ATL. I'm out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, love.
Love you.
Cray, I love you too.
You did awesome and amazing.
Yeah, I think you did.